Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Stevens, but I want you to pretend that I'm the poet Percy Shelley. Now, I'm a lot older than Percy Shelley was when he died at the age of 30, drowned when he was out sailing. A tragic end. But he wrote some great poems, and I want to read one of them to you. It's called Ode to the West Wind. Not a particularly easy poem to unpack, partly because of the syntactic difficulty, the structure of a lot of the sentences. But open your book, find Ode to the West Wind, because I want you to be reading along, right, as I'm reading this to you, and I'm looking it up. Okay, here we go, getting there. Now, I want you to be reading along, and I want you to remember that reading a poem out loud is the best way to understand it. All right, Ode to the West Wind. The poem is in 4 sections, and it's an ode partly because it is addressed to somebody, and in this case, the somebody is the west wind. All right? O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn's being, thou from whose unseen presence the leaves dead are driven, like ghosts from an enchanter fleeing, yellow and black and pale and hectic red, pestilence-stricken multitudes, O thou, remember the thou. He's talking to the west wind, all right, addressing the west wind directly. O thou who chariotest to their dark wintry bed the winged seeds, where they lie cold and low, seeds from the leaves, right, from the trees, all right? So he's talking about blowing the leaves and blowing the seeds around from the trees, all right? All right. Each like a corpse within its grave, until thine azure sister of the spring shall blow. All right, this would be the spring wind, the southerly wind. Her clarion o'er the dreaming earth, and fill driving sweet buds like flocks to feed in air, with living hues and odors, plain and hill. Wild spirit, which art moving everywhere, destroyer and preserver, hear, oh hear, telling the west wind to hear him, right? Thou on whose stream mid the steep sky's commotion loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed, shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean, angels of rain and lightning, there are spread on the blue surface of thine airy surge, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fierce maenad, even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's height, the locks of the approaching storm. Thou dirge of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the dome of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with all thy congregated might of vapors, from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail will burst. O hear. Section 3. Thou who didst waken from his summer dreams the blue Mediterranean, where he lay lulled by the coil of his crystalline streams, beside a pumice isle in Baiae's bay, and saw in sleep old palaces and towers quivering within the waves' intenser day, all overgrown with azure moss and flowers so sweet, the sense faints picturing them. Thou, remember, thou is the west wind, right? He's talking to the west wind. Thou, for whose path the Atlantic's level powers cleave themselves into chasms, while far below the sea blooms and the oozy woods which wear the sapless foliage of the ocean know thy voice, and suddenly grow gray with fear, and tremble and despoil themselves. Oh, hear. First three sections of the poem. Let me paraphrase, in case you're getting a little lost, okay? Let me paraphrase. You, west wind, who do this, hear me. And you, section 2, you, west wind, who do that, please hear me. And thirdly, west wind, all right, you who do this other thing, please hear me. That's the overall syntactic structure. I mean, each of these sections is simply a sentence, but it's a very long sentence, right? You, west wind, who do something. All right, number 1, you, west wind, who blow the leaves. Listen to me. Number 2, you, west wind, who blow the clouds across the sky. Listen to me, right? Okay, I know it reads, it sounds very, very complicated. There's an awful lot in there, and we want that information. But if you unpack it, the syntax, the sentence structure itself is relatively simple. You who blow the clouds here. You who disturb the waters of the ocean, section 3, right? Okay. You who disturb the waters of the ocean and create the waves. Listen to me, hear me. All right? And so now section 4, okay? A little bit different. Instead of beginning with the direct address, you, thou, etc., he starts this way. If I were a dead leaf thou mightest bear. That is, if I were a dead leaf that you might carry. If I were a swift cloud to fly with thee. A wave to pant beneath thy power, and share the impulse of thy strength, only less free than thou, O uncontrollable. All right? If I were a leaf, section 1, right? Blowing the leaves. If I were a swift cloud, section 2, the west wind blows the clouds in the autumn. Remember, this is the wind of autumn. All right? And finally, if I were a wave, to pant, that is, to breathe hard, right, beneath thy power, that is, the power of the west wind. If I were, okay, and then, if even I were as in my boyhood, and could be the comrade of thy wanderings once, thy wanderings over heaven, as then when to outstrip thy skyey speed scarce seemed a vision, I would ne'er have striven as thus with thee in prayer, in my sore need. You know, if I were a leaf or a cloud or a wave and so on, then I wouldn't strive with you so much because I would be blown by you. I would feel your power, but I'm striving with you. Oh, he says to the west wind, oh, lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life. I bleed. All right? Save me from these thorns of life, from these painful experiences. Lift me up. A heavy weight of hours has chained and bowed one too like thee, tameless and swift and proud. All right, I'm like you. Basically, I'm like you. I am tameless and swift and proud, but the weight of hours has chained me up. And then finally, the 5th section. Did I say there were 4? There are 5 sections. All right. Make me thy lyre. L-Y-R-E, that's a harp, not somebody who tells an untruth, right? Make me thy lyre, even as the forest is. What if my leaves are falling like its own? The tumult of thy mighty harmonies will take from both a deep autumnal tone, sweet though in sadness. Be thou, spirit fierce, my spirit. Be thou me, impetuous one. Drive my dead thoughts over the universe like withered leaves to quicken a new birth. And by the incantation of this verse, scatter as from an unextinguished hearth ashes and sparks my words among mankind. Excuse me. I'm taking this too seriously. It's getting into my throat, right? You scatter me, right? Be thou my lips. You, west wind, you be my lips. To unawakened earth, the trumpet of a prophecy. I'm sorry, not be that. Be through my lips. That is, speak through my lips. To unawakened earth, the trumpet of a prophecy. O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? All right, thank you for listening. I do not pretend to have explained this poem to you, but at least I think I've managed to bring out the overall structure. The speaker, Percy Shelley. Okay, I asked you to imagine that it was Percy Shelley speaking to you. I doubt if Percy Shelley had white hair, etc., all right? But anyway, I'm asking you to imagine Percy Shelley addressing the west wind and saying, look, you who do this, blow the leaves. You who do that, blow the clouds. You who blow the waves of the Mediterranean and so on, please inspire me. All right? So, if there's time, we'll do a little bit more with Ode to the West Wind and try to unpack it a little bit more. But that's all for now. Thanks for listening.